Very good. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. So good to see your faces again. This another Sunday. You guys are so kind to be waking up early, doing things, coming here, being here. So kind, so kind. And listening to my blah, blah, blah. Wow, 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 wow. So kind. So I'm, as always, as we're going to make these 1.5 hours here together, we try to first generate a good motivation. That's the basis of everything. It's very funny, as we talk about motivation, but sometimes we don't even know what motivation is. But motivation is action. Everything, is kind of like is an action, is something that kind of like it's more the goal, where we want to go, where we want to achieve. So that's motivation. Motivation is about that. It's about actually create. Oh, now I became very big here. I think someone spotted me, so I'm gonna put a gallery again so I can see all your faces. Not me, if I take, but I think you guys can see.
Yeah, can you make it gallery on your
Yes,
end?
I put it on mine. I put it on mine, I think. Yes, because I like to see you guys. And me, I no nothing good to see. So it's good to see you guys. So important motivation, because motivation is action. It is everything that comes from within, and we sometimes we say, oh, I don't know why I said that. That's normally a little lie, because we actually know. We just don't want to admit, we just don't want to actually look inside and see why we are saying that. We don't want to maybe be, true to ourselves and to others to be expressing this, we have these tendencies. Very funny. Yeah. No, oh, I don't know where this came from, but I just felt that I wanted to tell you this. It's very good, because normally we do that, but we need to be careful, because this is a lot about intention, and intention changes everything. Intention is going to be the seed that we're going to plant in order to have a good result or a negative result, which we have been talking in these last few weekends and Sundays. And that's why intention is so important. So that's why we always start with it. We start with this real special motivation, so we can build up, so we can plant the right seeds, right? So that's why it's so important that we need to know where we want to go, And in the Buddhist path, we're going to say we want to go all the way to enlightenment. That's the seed that we're planting right here, right now. It's incredible, no? Because that's it. What we are doing here right now. It's going to be, the result is going to be enlightenment if we plant the right seeds. So that's incredible. That's just so profound. So that's why we always start with motivation. And motivation is about that. Motivation is about creating that space. It's like a field, right? Like the field, you need to prepare the field. You need to kind of like, I don't know how to say that in English. Can you plow the field, you say? Yes. So you kind of like, you prepare the field and you really make it possible for the tree of enlightenment to come in the future, right? So we are here trying to plant the right seeds. So preparing, the motivation is the preparation and planting the seed. So that's it. And the rest of it, practicing, studying, contemplating, meditating is like putting water, putting, sun, putting all of the necessary conditions for the seed to ripen into enlightenment. So we just try to find a comfortable position. It's always good for us also to try to have a little bit of a sitting down meditation, let's say like this. Just a formal meditation, a formal posture. So we try to have our backs as straight as possible. The flow of the energy, the flow of air, not only air, so we breathe better. No, just breathing better is also so powerful, but also the flow of energy. We have many channels inside. So just align, so we can close our eyes if we feel. We can just give us some rest, some moment of rest. Opening some space physically, but especially mentally, emotionally. We can just bring the attention to the breath a little bit. Just the breathing coming in and out of the nostrils. By focusing the mind, we can subdue a little bit the monkey mind. The monkey that jumps from one thought to the other, one emotion to the other, one feeling to the other. It thinks about the past as if it was here. Thinks about the future as if it was here. And we ended up missing the present, which is a gift. Just calming the mind is not the goal. It's not our real motivation. Our motivation is to check how we can develop a good heart. Our motivation is to realize that we want to be happy and not suffer. Now our motivation is to be able to see that by this interdependence of us and others, and understanding how things really work, we can find through happiness, peace, love, passion, so we create this strong determination that we're going to use whatever it comes, whatever arises, as a way to develop this wish, to develop a kind heart, to become a good human being, not only for ourselves, but for all beings. We're going to listen, contemplate, and meditate. Whatever we listen and whatever we hear today, we share this motivation to plant the right seeds. So in the future, in this life and in future lives, the right fruits can ripen and we can enjoy results, and we can sit under the enlightenment tree that we are creating right now. And for that, we need to go for refuge. We need to first start and walk the path, creating the right causes and conditions. Sangye chodan soki chonam la janju pardu dani kyapsu chi dagi chunye gi pe sonam ki drola panche sangye drupa shu. Sangye chodan soki chonam la janju bardu dani kyapsu chi Tagi chunye gipe sonam ki drula panche sangye druparshu. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits I create through listening to the Dharma, may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And with this intention, we can start talking. I don't know if people from Tupten Kungalin can already hear us or see us. I hope so. Yes? Oh, very good. Very, very good. So, we talked a lot these last, or at least I talked a lot in these teachings. And one of the things that we talked is the idea that we've been trying, or I've been trying to bring, is that Dharma is such a precious thing for our lives because it can really transform who we are and transform into a better way of being, not only for ourselves, but for others. So we talked in the first time, the first meeting, a little bit, the first talk about how the mind works. I explained a little bit how the Dharma transformed my life. Then on the second line, we talked about of where we are and how we can observe how our minds are working and our experiences are working right now. Then we talked about, how to subdue these, how to refrain and diminish these negative emotions that we are creating right now, right? We talked about how anger and all of these negativities, how they play in our minds. And last week, we talked about how actually we also need to cultivate actively positive emotions inside of us. And today, we're going to talk about the last phrase of the Dhammapada that says, subdue your mind thoroughly. These are the teachings of the Buddha. So what we are actually doing by diminishing and refraining from negative emotions and negative behaviors and increasing the positive qualities, incredible qualities that all of us already have. What are we doing here? It's just a game of kind of like less and plus, like what are we actually trying to achieve? What we are trying to achieve, what is the most unique feature of Buddhism? The Buddha, he came, they like all the teachers, they say that what the Buddha actually came and all the 84,000 teachings that the Buddha gave, it was to actually give to this part of the teachings, which is to talk about the nature of the mind, to talk about emptiness or voidness, which is also a good word to define. So what is this? What is this emptiness of voidness that the Buddha was talking about? Well, we can talk about, that happiness, as we have been experiencing, it depends a lot on our attitude and our perception of reality. Then the object itself, right? Otherwise, if the object itself would give us happiness as we want, then the more we would eat chocolate, the happier we would become. And we know that this is not true. Well, in my case, I think with ice cream, because if I eat a lot of ice cream, I'm sure I get very happy. Then I have a little bit of problems, I have to go to the toilet, but that's no problem for me. I enjoy every single moment. It's not true. We know it's not true. We know that pizza, all of these things, all of the other things in our lives, even sharing with family, even being with friends, even all of these, the object itself doesn't give us happiness. What is going to give us happiness? It's our perception of the object, our perception of the reality that is happening. And this is so profound. And this is the most important aspect of the Buddhist teachings. The Buddha is going to say that even though, is like what is happening outside, we don't have so much control. Our attitude, our state of mind, our perception, it is what is going to create our happiness. So then we need to accept reality, and we need to understand first reality so we can accept it. And we can accept it first how we are actually observing things, and we actually should be or can be observing things if we see things like, let's say, correctly as things exist. So this is, wow, this is so profound, because the habits that we have right now is to see things existing from their own side. This is quite difficult or quite profound. We think, at least I see it, that things exist right there outside of me. I see a chocolate, I see a cake, I see pizza, or I see, anything. Even today, there's a beautiful day here today. It's like 20 degrees. It's like spring is totally blossoming. And you're totally seeing that this feeling of happiness, because it's not cold anymore, because, there is sun, it's just coming from outside. You can feel it. You can almost touch it, It's there. It's out there. But if this was actually reality, if this was actually true, this should be for everybody the same. And then we're going to we can open a discussion and we can make a vote. Who here likes chocolate? And we can raise our hands. But maybe one of us doesn't like chocolate. So we're going to say, oh, weirdo, how come you don't like chocolate? Chocolate is the source of happiness. Well, if it was the source of happiness, then all of us would have to like chocolate. So by just these very small details and small examples, we can start to observe how things actually happen in our minds. We truly believe that chocolate is giving us happiness. Or for example, we can talk about not only a sensation of the body, but like, for example, when we see a beautiful thing or a beautiful person, if we all would see that person as beautiful, then everybody would have to have the same opinion, right? We cannot, I used to use the example of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, but they are not a couple anymore, so I don't know if I can still use it. But this is the idea. If you see beautiful people, one man and a woman, so every single person in the planet should watch and say, this is beauty. This is beautiful. But it's not like that. People have different perceptions on how they see that. Why? Because we have different karmas and different unawareness or awareness of how things work in our minds, because we think that things actually happen from their own side. So we are seeing the image and we say, oh yeah, the beauty is there, nothing to do with me. But the English people, they have a very wise saying. They say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? We say that. So this is a very Buddhist thing. We can say, because it's not out there. What is actually influencing our perception? It is our own mind or our own mind states. That's what it is. Ooh, I can say it. So it is this perception, this mind state that is going to actually create our perception. Because the perception, let's say the image, the object, the eyes that we are seeing, it doesn't change so much. Well, not in like maybe not in my side, in my way, because I have glasses. So of course it changes. But like when we see something, we can see it in different ways. It's very funny to observe that sometimes when we are either in the morning and in the evening, that's a good exercise. When you either see something that you like or see something that you don't like so much, and you observe this, you see with your eyes, in the morning, and then the entire day passes. So many things happen. Your mind state is the, and then you arrive, and then in the evening you're a different, totally mind state, and you already, please look at that thing. It's already changed. Why? Because your mind state is already changed. Your perception of that, your mind state that is actually influencing your perception of the object has already changed. So this is very important for us to observe that that's what it is that we are when we are talking about emptiness. It doesn't exist from the side of the object. The reality, how we experience things as good or bad, it depends on us. And this is very profound, because this creates and gives us our own responsibility and the key to our own happiness and our own suffering. Because if we really start to see in this way, we cannot blame others for doing things to us. We cannot blame that it's raining. We cannot blame that, I didn't like it because that person said this to me. Because maybe if that person would say something, the same thing in a different day, you would not have any problem. But because your mind state was in that day in a certain way, that triggers something in you. So that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important that we start to observe how our minds work. And that's what the Buddha really came to teach us, that the reality of our experiences doesn't lie in the object itself. The object that we observe, that we experience, that we feel, it is only coming by causes and conditions. So it's just a very, let's say, interdependent phenomena. So let's say for a flower to exist, a flower is coming together by, preparing, because now we're having lots of flowers here because it's the spring. So, we can see that we prepare the field, then we plant the seeds, then there's the sun, there is the rain, there's the water, and then the flower starts to blossom, starts to come out, right? To sprout. And then all of these becomes a flower. So Lama Tsongkhapa, the creator of the founder of the Gelugpa tradition, which is us, he said something in the Tibetan, more than 700, 800 years ago, he said, there's no such thing as a flower in the sky. It seems very obvious, but we don't see things like this. We really think that things exist totally independent of ourselves, independent of our perceptions, independent of our labeling how things are. And that is the fear, and that is the dangers, because then we put also our happiness outside. And then things change, because things are going to change, because then today's being a beautiful day, but I saw in the weather forecast that probably is going to snow next week. So all the flowers are going to die, most probably, because they're starting to sprout and they're going to die. So then we blame the weather and we say and then everything becomes heavy, because we start to kind of see that as if that because there was a problem with the weather, we didn't get what we wanted, which was beautiful flowers and see beautiful flowers. It is their fault and not ours for not understanding reality. But the problem is that we do this with others and we do this with ourselves. We start to categorize and put into boxes people and their experiences and our experiences with people. That we have that, I think that there is this saying, I think also in English, that love at first sight, for example, or that the first impression is the one that counts, or something like this, right? And this is very, very, very funny. Why? Because that's how we're going to label that person. That's how we, in our own minds, without having any awareness of this process, because we don't see how things exist, and we don't see that things exist in the independence of our perception, we think that that person is like that. So, so someone comes, you go for the first time you go to a friend's house, and then someone is there, and then they're going to introduce you to this person. And, Maybe that person is not in a good day. Maybe that person is not dressing well the way that you like or the way that you think. Maybe that person doesn't give you the attention that you want, and all of this, and then you label as, I don't like that person, bad, and that stays. Next time that person is going to say, your friend is going to say, oh, I really would like, oh yes, oh, let's go, and my friend is going to be there, and you're going to say, oh no, that friend that I don't like, oh, that friend that is like this, that friend that is like that. How come? How can we do this? How can we be able to not see that we were the ones that put it the label? Because we are just literally habituated of doing this. This is our status quo. This is our day to day. This is our minute, second by second. We see things, we experience things, we think things, and we think that they are existing from their own side, inherently existing, as we say, that they are independent of our mind state and our perception. And that's what the Buddha is saying. No, 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 no. Stop it. Stop it, because this is the cause of all the suffering. And this is when we talk about ignorance in Buddhism. That's what we are calling ignorance. Ignorance is this view that doesn't see reality as it is, right? We see things right now in an ignorant way, and that's okay. So that means I'm calling all of us ignorant right now. I hope nobody's feeling bad about this. But this is how the Buddha is going to say. It's not an ignorance of if you have smart or if you have learned something or not and all of this. For example, I'm very ignorant in English. As you can see, my English is not so good. So, I make all of these faults. So this we can call ignorance as a very kind of like not a subtle level, in a very gross level. But the ignorance that the Buddha is going to say that we have is by seeing things differently than reality, seeing as things would exist from its own side. And then the Buddha is going to say, okay, so that's what we need to do, undo. So all of the things that we already studied until today, all of we talked about how to understand where we are, how we actually understand our negative behaviors, how we create suffering for ourselves, how we create suffering for others, how we can actually actively refrain from that, and how we can actually develop our good qualities that we already have. All of these are methods to, let's say, prepare the mind so we can actually come with the second wing of the Buddhist bird, which is called wisdom. So all of these, it's called method, is the method way. And we can say that all of the other traditions, and I'm calling here traditions religions, they have also these other methods, to develop compassion, to be a good human being. Like the Christian teachings, if you really go into the origins of it, it's just beautiful. It's about that, treating others the same way that you treat yourself, treating your neighbors, the way that you would like to be treated. And even the Muslims or the Jews, all of them having this basis of compassion and kindness. But this aspect of the wisdom of how we're going to eradicate all of this suffering and how we're going to develop all of this potential by seeing reality as it is, by saying that things don't exist from its own side. This is unique in the Buddhist teachings. This is, let's say, the crown jewel of the Buddhist teachings. That's why the Dhammapada says this in the end and says, subdue your mind thoroughly. These are the teachings of the Buddha. He's connecting and saying, this is it. This is what we really need. But if I would not have said all of these other things to you, if I would just say things don't exist from its own side and goodbye, you guys, you're not going to say what that means, how we actually go and build up into this. So that's why it is also a gradual path. We need to do things slowly in order to comprehend and to understand the wisdom part. And that's why we need to meditate and study and contemplate again and again and again, because it's something very difficult to grasp, to have an idea of what that means. That's why we need to observe on a daily basis. We need to see how we create actually the opposite of seeing things from its own side. You know, how actually I do see things from its own side. That's how we need to actually start seeing. You know, so we need to first start saying, do I actually label things good or bad? You know, does it true that everybody thinks like me? You know, it's very funny because just thinking in small ways like this, you know, we can see it. It's very funny because if we can see that with our partners, we can see it with our families, with our colleague works, we can see with every single person in our daily lives, we can do these experiences, because we're going to talk about the best thing to talk about, you know, as you can see that we don't think in the same way, is politics, right? Because we all have different views about it, or religion, or anything like this. We can see that if anyone was going to be as good as everybody's saying, then everybody would have to say the same, but we don't, right? So these are very gross examples that I'm giving, but we can go and see very subtle. You know, one of the things that I like to say a lot when we talk about these things is about opinions. Oh my God, we always have opinions for everything. And we don't understand that opinions are just an idea. By seeing, observing, tasting, expressing something, or experiencing something that we think that because it happened to us in our minds, in our bodies, in our sensations, in our feelings, that is the reality, that is true, and it is true for me, it is true for every single person. But opinion is just an opinion. It just comes from us. Other people have totally different opinions, different ideas, different ways of seeing, but we hold on to it. And that's what we call self-grasping. So when we were talking about the two wings of the bird, all the method side, it is to decrease our self-cherishing or our egoism. So all of these is to decrease, you know, by refuting or decreasing our negative behaviors and increasing our positive behaviors, is to decrease our egoistic view and to increase of our altruistic view. The wisdom part, what is going to actually like attack, it's our self-grasping, a grasping to inherently existing sense of self, or a sense of that something inside of me exists from its own side, right? Because we have a body, we have thoughts, we have emotions, we have feelings, but we have this feeling or this experience that almost that there is someone kind of like that is experiencing all of this, like a robot, or, you know, a kind of like someone, a little us that is inside of us, and it is the experiencer of all of it, you know? This is our sense of self. We have many ways to feel that, you know, when someone scares us, and, you know, someone like, and then you feel that here, you know, this is strong sense of me. Or when someone accuses us, like wrongly, you know, just, oh, you did this to me, and you can immediately see this, you know, it normally it's very here. Many people can see, but normally it's very here, right? We feel it as if it was someone was stabbing us, you know? And this comes from this misperception of that things don't exist from their own side. We think it exists. We think that Kalden is there. But if we're really gonna observe and try to find Kalden, or Lisa, or Esther, or Patty, or Dorian, or Lou, or Sherry, where are they? Where is it? You know? Is it Kalden the glasses? Okay, so if I take out the glasses, Kalden is still here. Okay, Kalden is still here, but I need to put it because otherwise I don't see you guys. So if we then think about, is Kalden the nose? Okay, if it is the nose, so if I take out the nose, Then I put it Kalden here, and then the body continues and everything else continues. So it's a different thing. If we think about, oh, is a thought. Okay, so maybe we can say, Kalden is a thought. But is this thought happening outside, or is it just coming inside as a perception of me? So all of these ways of kind of like trying to find where this me, this very inherently independent, that's a good way, independent me exists, then we're still going to start to really see things differently. We can use that with anything. And I'm looking here, and then there's a table. So if I take out one of the legs of the table stops to be a table. No, it's just a three legs table, right? If I take how do you say that? The kind of like, the flat wood, the top wood, but there's these two legs. My mind is going to say, I think that this was a table. So is the table existing there? Is the table existing in my mind? Is the table existing in the legs? Is the table existing in the top? What is the table? What we really will start to observe by experiencing and doing these exercises of how things actually exist is that we're going to start to understand that, of course, the object exists and the object is there. There is still here a piece of wood, another 4 pieces of, I think is metal dish. But in Portuguese, we call this mesa. So is a mesa and a table the same thing? Because for those that don't speak Portuguese, mesa doesn't mean anything, right? So that means that the mesa or the table stop it, understanding, stop it existing just because we changed the name. For Patty, Patty speaks Portuguese, sure. Maybe for Sherry, when I say mesa, Sherry's gonna say, is gonna look in the room and say, what is it? What is he trying to show me? So the mesa for me, the table has always been there, but for Sherry, it didn't exist. Until I say, Sherry, do you see this? There is here a wood and 4 legs. This is called a mesa. Now the mesa appears to Sherry. So we can start to slowly, by observing this process, that things don't exist inherently in the table, but they come as a label, merely label in our minds. This is extremely profound. Some people say that, think that, yes, but this is just like, how do you say, names, giving names to things. And, yes, in a way, it could, the very gross aspect of this, yes, we are just labeling things because we need to use. Because now Sherry, when I say to her, can you take the mesa? She knows exactly what she takes, and then we can, have lunch together. That's now because of the need for us to categorize things that we observe in our reality, we started to label. The real problem is that the moment that we label things, we think that then they exist from their own side. So the problem with objects is not so much of a problem, but I like to always give an example. For example, we're gonna go buy a new phone, okay? So we're gonna go and buy a new iPhone. I don't even know what is the number they have already now, but the newest iPhone. So you go to over there and you look at the shop and you say, they are so beautiful and all of this and blah blah blah. And then someone goes and buy, they're just passing, they drop the phone and the phone breaks. And you're like, oh, wow, that's bad luck and all of this, and yeah, life goes on. Second situation, you go, you want to buy the phone, you buy the phone, it is yours, someone steps on you or bumps on you and your phone falls and breaks. You're going to have the same reaction of like, oh yeah, it's just an accident. the dragon will come out, you know, and we're going to be extremely upset. Oh, my phone, I just bought it, blah, 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 blah. And it starts, right? Why? Because in that moment, we label the phone as ours. My precious, you know, as we say in the Lord of the Rings, you know, my precious. Yeah, that's what we do. It becomes ours. And the moment it becomes ours, whatever happens to this, it becomes totally cause of suffering. So if we lose it, if we break it, if someone takes it and doesn't give to us, or someone steals it, anything, then it becomes a cause of suffering. For the phone, let's say from the side of the phone, if it was with us, if it was with someone else, it doesn't change a thing. So that's what we need to start to understand, that our perception, our vision, our mentally labeling things, it is what is becoming. It is the source of our ignorance. Then the moment that we say it is mine or this is me, then the self-cherishing comes. And then all of those sufferings that we described in the other teachings, in the other talks, then comes like this. So we make the entire mess of our lives based on this wrong view. So that's why the Buddha really gave us the path to see this, to see reality as it is. And we can understand that by understanding this, we not only observe our minds, that our minds has this capacity of having experiences and have this capacity of interacting, let's say, you know, with the experience, with the object, you know. I can drink, I am able to actually, you know, see the tea. I have tea over here. And then to taste the tea due to my consciousness, to my mind. Of course, I need the nose and I need the mouth in order to have the taste because of the body. But it is the sensory and the conscious experience that is actually giving me as good or bad. So by not understanding that this is a sensory experiences and then I am labeling this good or bad, you know, we create all of the suffering and all of the problems for us. How many times we have changed like views or ideas or opinions about things, you know? When I was young, I didn't like broccoli so much, and now I love it. But we do this with people as well. We are able to change opinions. So this is another proof that things are not as independent as we see it, right? People are not always boring. People are not always mean. People are not always like not nice. No. By causes and conditions, the way that that situation came together, we label that in that way. So it is in some ways a deconstruction of seeing the way we see things and a construction of seeing how things really exist. That is what the Buddha's teachings are about. That's what is so profound, because right now we can see that we have the potential, because we can change opinions, because we can change tastes, because we can change, views and about things and perceptions. Then we can change our minds. We can change and stop suffering completely, because the cause is literally our ignorance. So the ignorance, in a way, it is the cause for all of this. And the ignorance of what? Of seeing things existing inherently. And the sensory experiences are because of our karma. Exactly. And exactly this. Because the sensory experiences, karma only comes, as Patti is asking, only comes because of self-grasping. Because we have self-grasping, because we have ignorance, because we have this wrong view of how things exist, then all of the rest develops. And the karma is literally the habituation, right, of a perception, of a wrong perception about something that we keep creating again and again and again. And then we plant the seed, the negative karma comes. We plant the seed, the positive karma comes. But it's just because of the self-grasping. So the self-grasping, this grasping to inherently existing, it is the basis of everything, of this independent. If I was so independent, then I didn't have to actually have my mom and dad to give birth to me, I would just pop up out of nowhere and then leave. And nobody would have to feed me, take care of me, study me and all of this. And we can see that. Like, we always say that in the beginning, none of us knew how to speak or how to write. But someone then draw A, 3 little sticks, like this. And then for us, in the beginning, were just sticks, just drawing, just something, until someone said, this is A. And then the A appeared because you labeled A. The problem is that not the labeling. The problem is not seeing and experiencing. The problem is that the moment that we label, we see the A, it's out there, nothing to do with me. We don't see it. We don't see that the A, it wasn't appearing from its own side. The A appeared because we labeled it, because there was causes and conditions, the 3 sticks, and then I labeled it A. Is self-grasping the same as self-cherishing? No. Self-grasping is the grasping to inherently existing self. So is the self-grasping, it comes first. Self-cherishing comes after. So self-grasping is grasping to an independent, existing from its own side sense of self. And why it is the basis of everything? Because then we develop self-cherishing. Because by thinking that self-grasping, it is that I exist from my own side, independent, and all of this, I start to create all of these ideas about me, about myself. And because I feel that it's so independent and so strong, then I develop self-cherishing because I want to protect it. I want to have it. I want to, I really want to kind of like, let's say, make it more real. So the self-cherishing comes as a result of the self-grasping, right? And that it is the problem, is that in our daily lives, what we start to do then, we start to think, oh yes, Patty needs to be like this, Cheryl needs to be like this. Our own ideas of ourselves start to limit ourselves. We start to see ourselves, like this and like this and like this. I should be like this. I shouldn't be like that. I have to do this. I shouldn't be needed to do this. And this creates more suffering for ourselves because it limits us. It doesn't allow us to just be. It doesn't allow us to just be, let's say, fresh to the moment, to the present moment. We come with this huge backpack of projections, of ideas, of opinions, of all of these, judgments about ourselves and others, as if it was them that created. Families is the best way to do this because they are with us from the beginning to the end of our life sometimes, and we can see, no, they've always been like this. No, but you have always been like that, or you never done that. Why are you doing this now? Because we change. Because we, like everything else, like the flower that needs water and sun, we are also causes and conditions. So we say that things don't exist from their own side. So then how things exist? We call that dependent arising. I love this word. I think it's very, very kind of like dun, 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 dependent arising. What it means, it means that things arise independent on causes and conditions, on circumstances. So it's the flower that only exists because of the water, the sun, the fertilizers, all of these. So that's why we can see that actually by seeing a flower, we can see the entire universe, because everything is interconnected, intertwined. I don't know if this is the good word, but interconnected. And that we can see with ourselves and with our families, with our emotions, with our everything. We see things as they existed like this, but we don't see that all of this is interconnected, like all of our perceptions of others is coming from our previous experiences. So that's why we need to let go of the big rocks that we are putting inside of ourselves in our backpack, because otherwise it's not fair. It's not fair to ourselves and to others, because we are imposing to others our labels. We are imposing to others how we think and we would like to see them. It's almost like, I'm having this cup and I want to put like a plate inside. That's how it is. Why? Because our minds is like this. Our minds is like, we created this idea about something and it becomes like this, become very concrete, and we reinforce it. Oh no, it is like this, it is like that, it is like that. People are like this, people are like that. I have to be like this, I have to be like that. And we start to make it more and more concrete, more and more concrete, more and more concrete. Then something that is totally different, that is a square, comes. And we are like, no, 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 this is bad because we are like this, we are like that, we are like this. All the suffering that we create to ourselves and others. And the opportunity that we lose to actually be able to experience beautiful things in our lives because of this very restricted view. That's what we need to understand. That's why, it is a very thorough subject. We could talk about this for hours and hours and days and years, because it's so profound. Because right now we don't even see it. We talk about how we can see how things exist. We talk about that we need to refute, I'm going to say these things, but refute the object of negation. What is the object of negation? The object of negation is we are negating inherently existing. So how things exist inherently, that's what we need to find right now. That's why all of these examples that I'm giving you is for us, first to see how our minds work. And our minds are right now labeling everything. Good, bad, good, bad. I like it, I don't like it. This is me, this is mine, this is this. All the time. It's tiring. It's very tiring. Because then we don't understand that, wait, I want a tea, the tea got cold. Now I have iced tea. Great. That's it. And it's just causes and conditions that came together, and I can let it go. I can let it go of this very strong sense of that things need to be like this because they exist inherently. Because this is a totally delusional view, right? We have no control how things outside of ourselves will happen. We have no control of the weather. We have no control of how people will behave. We don't have control. We only have control of our perception, of our understanding of our minds. So that's very important. Because by understanding this, we can understand that we can do influence outside. We can do create or improve causes and conditions, right? But we cannot actually change people's minds. We cannot change people's behaviors. We can only help them to see so they can actually work on their minds and label things differently. Depression is a great view of this. Depression is we are viewing not only ourselves, but the entire life as something blue, dark. But sometimes nothing really changed. It's just our perception. And by believing in it, we just enhance it again and again and again until it becomes so concrete. And someone comes and says something to us that it might sound mean, and we say, you see, this person is mean to me. or we create a way for that person to actually say something mean to us, so we can say, you see, I told you that this person is mean. So we manipulate the reality in a negative way because of a negative and a wrong view. If we really think about this, it's like, you know, it's mind-blowing, because we can actually change our lives. We can totally change the way we experience life by seeing this. The problem is that nobody told us. The Buddha came for that 2,600 years ago. And we have all of these incredible teachers teaching and embodying this view. As I told when I first met the Dalai Lama, His Holiness, when he looked into his eyes, it was this. I could see him seeing me in this incredible compassion and love, but seeing that is not coming from his own side, from my own side, this compassion and love. He could see that like reality, and the reality of me, he could see how these could develop in compassion. Because once we can see reality in a positive way. And we can develop these. That's why we are creating and decreasing our negativities and increasing our positive qualities. Because when we can see reality as it is, then we can use only the positive side. And we can experience fulfillment, happiness, not only to ourselves, but to others. That's why the Buddha, we call nirvana, or this idea of just liberation, just by that, by seeing reality as it is. Becoming enlightened means you develop your full potential. So you decrease all the negativities and you develop all the full potential. So when you realize emptiness, when you realize reality, how it works, you have all of this positive influence in your mind that will just go altruistically benefiting all sentient beings. So it's just like a wow coming, like the heart, just from the heart, pouring down love, compassion to us. So there it is. Because right now, what is not allowing us to do this is the sense of me. So I put myself first, I put this inherently existing, and I think about myself, and I just stop. So we need to take us out of the equation, but not in a sadomasochistic way. We need to do it by understanding that this is where we are, and that this actually wrong view, because we can realize our wrong view right now, this is what is we can able to shift in order for us to achieve enlightenment. So we need to say, okay, now I see, this should give us joy and effort of like, wow, now I can see where I am. Now I can see how I'm suffering. Now I can see that I can change it. Let's do it, right? This is to reinforce this idea. That's why I always feel that in the Lam Rim, in the gradual path to enlightenment, we always start with Guru devotion and we go to all of these things and we end with emptiness. I always feel that we should actually start with emptiness. Start your understanding how the mind has this possibility of totally deconstructing a wrong view that we have and seeing reality as it is, and to build up in a positive way. This would give so much energy if you think about it, right? It is so profound and so inspiring that we can do this. Right now we can. Right now, all of us have this potential. And that's what we call Buddha nature. We have the nature of becoming a Buddha. Buddha is just a label. Buddha is just a label of someone who developed this, who totally decreased the negativities and cessated the causes of suffering. What is the real cause of suffering? The ignorance of inherently existence, the wrong view of reality. So you cut this, poof, cut. And then you develop all the positive qualities. So with this, you receive the title of a Buddha. So we all have this. We all have the possibility right now to become Buddha. We all have the possibility right now to actually develop this inside of ourselves. This is so, so, so incredible. Because not only for ourselves, but we need to understand that by doing this to ourselves, we, as a result, not by wanting really to become, a superstar, a pop star, a super Buddha, to put a cape and become the super Buddha. No, but just by changing ourselves, we can actually help others to do the same. But to do the same means that they have to do it. We cannot do it for them, because we understand that is our vision, our perception that is the problem. So they have to do the same. They have to realize that is their perception. So each of us, we need to work on our minds. It's not outside. It's not by trying to change only outside. Of course, it's our duties to do things to improve the world, the conditions of the world, But the best way to do this, the most beneficial, the most profound, is by understanding the nature of our minds, is by understanding how we work, is by understanding that we can shift from an independent, egoistic, self-sufficient, wrong view of ourselves to an interdependent, compassion, dependent on each other sense of self. That's it. That's what we need. And like this, we can truly benefit others. That's why I decided to try to do this with myself. Because I realized how precious this is. I realized how incredible to try to do this with ourselves it is. So that's why it's so important that we see and we understand our own minds. Because it's our own minds that is going to bring us. It's us. We are going to bring ourselves. So that's why we also need to take care of ourselves. As Tenzin Palmo used to say, once we went to see her with my mom as well, and she said something like, yeah, we are sometimes, oh yes, the egoistic mind is this, and people think, oh yes, I'm so egoistic, I'm so selfish. No, we need to understand that this selfish mind right now, it is the one who is going to take you to enlightenment. It's the selfish mind that right now has the potential to bring us to enlightenment. We just need to see it through it. We need to see and cessate the causes. We need to cessate this ignorance. So that's why we need to, on a daily basis, try to reinforce emptiness of inherently existing in our minds. By doing what? The first moment that you see something and you say, oh, that person is bad, and you catch yourself being a negative towards someone, you just say, oh, wait, let's give it the benefit of the doubt. The benefit of the doubt, it is the most important, I feel, a remedy, as I say. If we give the benefit of the doubt that maybe we might be wrong of our perception in relation to that person. We might be wrong in our perception in relation to ourselves. We need to doubt our perceptions. We need to doubt the way we experience things as being so concrete. I'm sure about this. I'm sure about that. Yeah, that person's like this, that person's like that. We don't know the causes and conditions. We don't know what is happening with that person. If we go not only with the wisdom part, but with the method part, then we come to the conclusion that if that person is acting like that, this person is just like us, seeing things in the wrong view. And not only this, she's being totally dominated by this wrong view and acting negatively on that wrong view, and then creating harm for ourselves and others. But the basis is that that person, just like us, just want to be happy and don't want to suffer. So how can we increase that suffering in others? How can we increase this possibility of actually creating? Let me see. In Tibetan Buddhism, is there a judgment in the way some Christianism have a judgment? Must a person be worthy of enlightenment or salvation by doing good deeds in Tibetan Buddhism? Not at all. We can understand that a person must be worthy of enlightenment. We all are, and that is called Buddha nature. Buddha nature means the potential. We all have the potential. Men, women, dogs, ants, all of sentient beings that have a consciousness. Why? Because the consciousness, as it is, has the potential, as we already seen, to change, to transform, to see things as they are. But right now, we are not seeing things as they are. Right now, what we are doing is that we are increasing our negative view or our wrong view of reality. So what we are doing is that, yes, in some ways we will say that there are negative actions and behaviors that make us increase this sense of self and this wrong view. And there are positive aspects and behaviors, as we spoke in last weekend, that will increase our, let's say, closeness to this right view of reality. So it's more about, let's say, if you want to make a cake, it's coming right now. If you want to make a cake, you gather all of these ingredients. And then we start to mix together and all of these and And yes, we might be developing, trying to develop a cake. And the cake here is enlightenment. Okay, so we are trying to develop a cake. The problem is that we forgot the chocolate. And we wanted a chocolate cake. So forgetting the chocolate in this way is going to be, let's say, a negative aspect for us to have what we want, the goal, which was a chocolate cake. If I bring together all the ingredients and slowly I start to make it, so these, and I bring the chocolate, this is a positive aspect for us to actually achieve enlightenment. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to observe in our minds and in our experiences that there are actions of our mind, body, speech, and mind that are going to bring us into enhance more this sense of self, this self-cherishing, this, this self-grasping. And there are actions that are going to give us more into decreasing this sense of cherishing and this sense of happiness. For example, what I said, doubting. If we doubt our minds of our perceptions, this is already a positive aspect, but not doubting all the time. If you have to doubt, if you're doubting also, you just stay still, you don't do anything. You're freaking out, you doubt everything, and then you don't do anything. It's not about that. Is doubting each of our actions. It is positive or is negative. It is bringing me close to enlightenment. It's making me decrease my self-cherishing. It's making me decrease this sense of inherent existence. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to evaluate. That is our job. That's what meditation is. Right? That's what is, in a way, it's what in our minds we need to do. That we need to start to discern what will bring us to enlightenment and what is actually going to make our sufferings more and more. So that's why the method side and the wisdom is going to come. So you start to listening about emptiness and about the possibility of changing our minds, a possibility of reality being different, and you start to contemplate on this. This is a very positive aspect. It means that only no, there's only the how did you wrote that person be of it or salvation by doing good deeds. No, it doesn't mean that only if you be a good boy, you're gonna be enlightened. No, you need to understand that enlightenment is also causal. It means it exists by causes and conditions. How do we achieve enlightenment? By cutting the root of samsara, the root of suffering, ignorance. So having this right view is what's going to cut and is what's going to bring us. So it's not about good deeds and bad deeds. It's about cause and conditions. It's about creating the right cause and conditions to have the right result. That's what I was trying to talk about with the idea of the cake. Sometimes if conditions are bad, however, we have to flee, right? Just like His Holiness Dalai Lama had to seek shelter away from the temple. Yes, absolutely. We need to be very smart and very observable about, yes, when are we actually using something positive or negative? But the action itself, as we have been describing, because it depends on our perception, is not good or bad. Sometimes staying is going to be good. Sometimes fleeing and walking away is going to be good, right? The Buddha used to say something very good, that is like, sometimes if you can't handle something, just walk away. It's better than, because you cannot handle something. And we say a lot about that when the monks go to their families, and then everything comes up, and then and we start to kind of like go nuts, and we say sometimes walk away. It's better than actually becoming angry and having a negative interaction with someone. It's better to avoid creating. Why? Because every time that we repeat a certain behavior, we are increasing that behavior, right? It's like every time that I speak more French, the French becomes easier for me, right? So it's the same thing. The same time, the moment that I start to kind of like, creating anger towards someone, or seeing someone as negative, and all the time creating these, then that becomes each day more and more concrete, more and more hard. And then I start to repeat again and again, because our minds are habitual, having this pattern. So that's why we need to doubt. That's why we need to undo it. That's why we need to, to observe that at some moment, yes, it's better to do this. And some moments it's better to do that. That's why the teachings of the Buddha, he gave 84,000 teachings for different people with different mental, let's say, levels, but not levels, but like different needs, mental needs. And for some, they would say, oh yes, you become a monk. For someone, they would say, don't become a monk. For one, they would say, oh, you contemplate on this. For the other, they would say, don't contemplate on this. And you're going to read it and you're going to say, this is totally incoherent. This is totally, doesn't make any sense. How come for one person he says that and for other person he says that? Because the Buddha has the perception to see what is most beneficial from one another. That's why we say that we have to develop the Buddha within us. We need to develop this perception from our own experience. What is good for us and what is bad for us? Based on what? What it means good, what is mean bad. What means good, what it means bad is what is actually making us more egoistic, or what is making us more altruistic, or what is making us more inherently existing from our own side, independent, or what is making us more interdependent and not existing by causes and conditions. So this is what we need to develop, this wisdom inside of ourselves, to observe things and be able to actually develop this discernment on positive and negative in relation to this. Because positive and negative, they are in a way concepts, right? So they're going to depend on circumstances. They are relative, right? In relation to. So I need to understand how something is going to actually develop in a positive or in a negative, depending on my mind. So that's why we need to develop this motivation so strong. And we need to observe so strongly in our minds what means compassion and love and kindness and enlightenment. So we can have these as our center point, and this wish to actually be a Buddha. And these will be our reference point. So when we make these comparisons to say, wait, me eating another piece of chocolate is actually bringing me, so this is just making my attachment. Me responding with anger to someone is going to make a good thing or is a bad thing? Me saying I am right and you are wrong, it's going to bring any benefit. Or this is just going to create a more sense of me, myself, and I, which is the cause of our suffering. So we need to understand this. We need to experience, and we need to develop these internally inside of us. This discernment, this real understanding that we have this potential just now of being totally free from suffering and totally develop this love and kindness and compassion and generosity and patience and all of these unconditional to all sentient beings, because that's what we want. We all are looking for that, to be happy and not suffer. And happiness is a mind state, it's a perception, it's a mental state by understanding reality. So that's the basis. That's what we need to develop. That's what we can actually achieve. That's the beauty of the Buddhist teachings, because it says we all have this potential. It doesn't matter, men or women, animals, we all have. But it's up to us to develop. It's not going to come from outside. It's not going to come from someone, from a hairy Brazilian monk in France talking blah, blah, blah. It's going to come from you guys, from day to day, from work, from working on your minds, from working on a day to day, on trying to observe what is happening in your mind and how we relate to it and how we can decrease it and how we can actually think about others, how we can think about ourselves in a positive way, in a way that is going to help us to develop this potential that we already have. This is the Buddha's teachings. That's why it's so special. Because it's there, it's right here, it's right now. So we all can do. We can all develop. And you guys are doing an amazing job by having this incredible patience and generosity with our time, with being here. So you're already doing it. You guys are already creating this possibility. You're creating this already right now. That's what we need to also see. That just by our beautiful efforts, our beautiful day-to-day possibilities, we are here doing it. So slowly, we will develop, more awareness, more, oh yes, oh yeah, remember this. Maybe this person is not so bad as I think. Or maybe this person who is cutting me into the traffic is not as bad. Maybe, that person is doing something, needs to go and do that. Maybe this person, no, is actually totally egoistic towards me. And it's best for me to say, no, you out. I'm going to walk away. I don't want this now because it's not going to be. We need to develop this wisdom. This is the most important aspect of the Buddhist teachings. That's why we spent years and years thinking and meditating and contemplating. And we can, Dharma is daily basis. Dharma is we really can develop on our daily basis. We don't need to become monks and go to the inside of a cave, in the Himalayas. No. Actually, all of you are warriors to be doing what you are doing on a daily basis and still wanting to develop a good heart. That's impressive. In a way, we are all doing that, right? We are all trying. We are all trying. And it's our responsibility, once we start to develop and to learn about the Buddhist teachings and to learn the potential of our minds, to develop it even more, very fast, as soon as possible. Not only for ourselves, but for others. And our world right now really needs. It needs people like us. It needs people like each and every one of you. Developing a kind heart, developing a sense of altruistic mind. That's the most important, most important. So that's what I was trying to talk to you guys these last 4 Sundays. I don't know if something was useful. I hope it was. I hope that you guys were able to take a little bit of my blah, blah, blah and transform it in your own way into a positive thing. So I really, really, really hope that this was useful and beneficial. I don't know if any of you have any questions anymore, but if you do also have any personal questions or any doubts or any things, just write me. You can take my email with Patty. Patty, no problem at all to give my email. So we can, I'm very happy to answer if I can, if I know, but just to share. So if any of you have also, oh, this is very kind, all of you. Now I'm seeing all of these nice messages. Oh, no, thank you guys. You are the reason. Without you, this is interdependence. Without you, I wouldn't be here. That's how we work. If without me, you wouldn't be here. So without you, I wouldn't be here. So came first, the egg or the chicken?
Venerable Kalden, we are so grateful for you. Thank you so much for spending these past few weeks with us, giving us these talks. We'd like to offer you a very small but generous offering, as we really appreciate you sharing with us your story, your wisdom, your kindness. Ups. We have constant obstacles here in the Gampa, but hopefully we're removing them. slowly, but not too slowly. And thank you, dear Maria, for having this beautiful son of yours. As he continues to inspire us along our own paths and journey of working with our minds every day. So thank you, Venerable Kalden.
Thank you, Nicole, especially for actually, inviting me and Patty to organizing, and all of the people in Tupten Kungaling. You have been very, 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 very kind. And I really hope that one day we can meet in person very, very soon, that we can go and do a very nice retreat together, and then we can go and do very special, a retreat in person and do a little bit of hard work together, on our minds and in our hearts. So please continue as much as you can, to developing a kind heart and developing a good mental state. So we dedicate all of this energy that we created, all of it for all the people, all the beings, that they can also achieve this, this incredible possibility, this incredible potential that we have right now. So we dedicate this for all sentient beings, and especially without our teachers, we would not be here. As I said, we are interdependent. We need them so we can learn and we can achieve enlightenment. So we dedicate for them to have a long and stable and healthy life, especially the Dalai Lama and the Lama Zopa Rinpoche, so they can continue for many, 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 many years, guiding us for this state, walking the path in front of us and showing the path. And for all the people who do so good, especially the people from Tupten Kungaling, who is so many efforts to actually make it happen, so they can also continue the center flourish and continue spreading the Dharma and achieving the hearts of so many people, because we need these places of light and good energy, so we can also be our own light and our own good energy to all people and beings that we encounter. So thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Venerable Cauldron.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
We hope to
Thank you.
Thank you, Venerable Kalden.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you need anything, let me know. Patty, anything, you can give my email and you guys can write to me. Have a good end of Sunday over there. Enjoy with compassion and wisdom. That's the most important.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.